What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Sean O'Connell YouTube channel. Today what we're doing is we're working on the Whipple 5.0 F150. So what we're going to be doing is installing a free-flowing exhaust. We're not going to be What we're going to be doing today is we're installing a free-flowing exhaust. So I don't know if you can see it here on the ground, but we have it's basically a Caddis Deletist kit. It's from 2M. They're a company that I think that they have a factory in China make these parts. It's a couple $100, and I don't want to install headers on this thing because installing headers on this kind of seems like a little bit of a pain. So instead of installing headers, I'm going to go with this free-flowing exhaust pipe with high-flow cats. The reason I'm doing this instead of doing the long tube headers is it's just a little bit easier, and the stock manifolds on these 5.0 Coyotes are like tubular type manifold basically. They flow pretty well, but if you are running a supercharger, I would highly recommend that you run these. The reason being is that the cats will get clogged on these 5.0. I'll go ahead and I'll post a couple screenshots of people literally blowing their motors because they have something like a supercharger on their truck and their cats get clogged, and it literally just makes too much pressure in the motor, and the motor ends up, finding a weak point. So if you're running a high performance application, I recommend either running a high flow cat or getting rid of those Caddis. I recommend running free-flowing exhaust if you can. I would get something like this. And if you guys are worried about check engine lights, so I'm gonna let you guys in on some free game right here. So these are the upstream O2 sensors right here. These are you need these to tune the truck effectively, because this is where your tuner is going to see the data of how rich or how lean the car is running, or the truck's running. Either way, Mustang, F150, doesn't matter, same. But these ones down here, this is the downstream O2 right here, and I'm gonna show you guys a little device that you can actually buy at your local auto parts store. It's called an O2 defouler, and essentially what it does is it tricks the rear O2 sensors to get a little bit less reading, and then the vehicle will think that it's running great and the cats are doing their job. All right, so these are what you can buy at your local auto parts store. They're called O2 defoulers. They come in a 2-pack, so you just basically get these. You screw them into where the O2 sensor would go. It's nice because it has a little head on here, so you can tighten this, and it also has a gasket if you want to run that. And then you put your O2 sensor in there, and effectively you're good. So it'll get a good reading then, and the truck will be happy, the ECU will be happy. But let's go ahead. This is all a bolt-on application. All right, so here are the recommended tools. A 1/2-inch Milwaukee impact. If you got a DeWalt, I won't judge you, it'll work the same. Some can of PV blaster, spray on the bolts. You're going to need a 13mm socket, some 3/8 extensions, and a wobble extension to hook up to this. Makes it a little easier. Some 1/2-inch extensions with a wobble extension, and a 15mm 1/2-inch socket. The deeper the better, but this one worked. You want to get the socket to remove the O2 sensor with 3/8 drive. This works just fine. Just spray some of this PV blaster on the O2 sensors and loosen them with this. You can remove them, the O2 sensors, before you take the pipes off the truck, or you can remove them after. Some of them it's easier to remove them before you get them off the truck because it makes it easier to unbolt the pipes from the manifolds. All right, so when you do this install, you want to get up onto the truck. If you have a truck that's leveled, or if it's sitting factory high, it's real easy to get up under here, especially if you're a smaller dude like me, short kings. So get up under here. So you can see this right here. Let me go ahead and fix the video. All right, so this is on the driver's side. You're gonna have two 15mm nuts right there, so you want to remove both of those. Before you remove both of those, you will want to remove one of the O2 sensors. There's an O2 sensor. Before you remove those two nuts, it is easier to remove the O2 sensor that sits right up here. with that socket that I mentioned, and it gives you a lot easier access to those nuts. You're gonna have to remove the O2 sensor anyway, so it's easy to remove it while it's on the truck. This one, the other one, the rear one, I just unplugged. It is difficult to unplug it because it's, you see, you don't have much space here, but I got, you know, skinnier forearms, so I was able to get up in there and unhook this bad boy. It is a clip, you just push down on this part. The other one has a red thing that you have to push back and then push the clip, so I'm gonna, that's why I unbolted that one instead of actually unhooking it from this. The other O2 sensor I will take out of the catalytic converter after I take the pipes off. Let's go to the passenger side. So on the passenger side, same deal. It's actually easier to get to both of these nuts on the passenger side. So you just want to hit them with the 1/2-inch impact and the 15, and they'll come right off. If you have a newer truck, it'll be real easy. These O2 sensors were way easier to unhook on this side, so I just went ahead and unhooked them, and I'll unbolt them once I get them off the truck. This is where the cats and Y pipe hook to the factory exhaust. These are 13mm bolts. You just zip those bad boys off, and then this thing should be ready to come down. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and mention this little part right here. So this part does go in between here to make the fit a little tighter. It is kind of weird, but it works. And then you can reuse the stock nuts on this part. To take the stock stuff out, it is easier to just, as you're unbolting it and stuff, like unbolt it all. And then if you're not gonna plan on putting this back on, you can cut it off. It is a little easier to get it out. If you're on a lift, it seems like it'd be easy to get this out, but what I did was I just cut 2 of the hangers where it basically connects to the transmission mount, and then I cut the pipes just because it is just way easier to take it off. All right, guys, so this is what it looks like all installed. I used those little spacers, hooked it up to the stock manifolds up there. Got these clamps, got it all tightened up here. What I would recommend, if you have a small welder, instead of using these clamps, you could weld this pipe and it will keep from having any leaks. It's virtually impossible to not have a leak on this, just the way that it's set up. You know, the pipe fits well together, but the clamps kind of suck. You see I got these here, so off-road use only. This is a race truck. So this little extender keeps me from having any O2 lights. I did have to grab some bolts and nuts from Lowe's. It is fitted to the factory catback exhaust and works well. Has little leaks, makes a little bit of noise, but overall sounds good, and it'll work until I get my custom exhaust. But let's do a sound clip. All right, so I'm gonna give you guys a quick sound clip of what it sounds like in the cab with the new exhaust. So you can see it's pretty quiet, and then when you stab it, it opens up a little bit, but not too loud.